Off Ocean Avenue, where I used to sit and talk with you. We were both 16 and it felt so right. Sleeping all day, staying up all. Nah, hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a VeVe, OMI DEFX DEVVE DACAT update video. Guys, if you're new, welcome. For not, welcome back. I love you all. And everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Commenting, liking, subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. Non-free ways are Patreon and smashing that super thanks button down below, super chats as well. There's a bunch of stuff to go over here today. I don't know how long we'll be live for, but I wanted to go in and cover the fact that Nike had sold Artifact. This news did break a couple days ago. I've had an extraordinarily busy week, and it took me a couple of days to be able to write something down. Before I get into it, I do want to go over what the actual article says. And it says Nike sells Artifact. Digital product subsidiary quietly offloaded in December. Nike sold one of its subsidiaries, but it's not the one that minds some analysts and industry watchers. The company last month quietly sold Artifact, pronounced Artifact. It's spelt R is in Romeo, T is in Tango, F is in Foxtrot, K is in Kilo, and T is in Tango. The sale came roughly a year after Nike shuttered the subsidiary, of which they have a class action lawsuit against them. More on that in a minute. The move happened as second-year CEO Elliott Hill continues to refocus the company on sports and rebuilding partnerships with wholesale partners like Dick's Sporting Goods and Foot Locker. It also comes as speculation persists about the future of Nike's Converse brand, which in December reported a 30% drop in quarterly sales, leading a BNP Paribas investment analyst to wonder whether Nike will sell the brand. Artifact was acquired by Nike in 2021 under then CEO John Donahoe, who was more focused on direct and digital sales. In short statement, Nike said that Artifact sale was effective on 16 December, launching a new chapter for the company and its community. Nike continues to invest in delivering innovative products and experience across physical, digital, and virtual environments. Nike had said that in a statement. Terms of the Artifact sale, including the buyer, were not announced. We're still waiting to hear that pin drop. No, I do not think it was VeVe, but more on that in a minute. Before it announced plans to shutter Artifact, Nike said in a post on Medium that while it was at least temporarily halting the production of non-fungible tokens, the sort of digital collectible made by Artifact, it would continue partnerships with video game companies to build virtual products, including in-game wearables. In late 2024, Nike announced its latest partnership with the video game Fortnite. In 2023, it announced a partnership with EA Sports. It's in the game. An investor filed a lawsuit against Nike after it announced plans to shutter Artifact, alleging the company caused the rug to be pulled out from under the value of the company's virtual sneakers. Nike filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit in December. Still not 100% sure where that goes. VeVe, my man, reposting the stream. I was just talking about you. All good things, all good things. So here's something that I had written over the past couple of days. Some of it might be dated by now because in Web3, things move very, very quickly. So what happened? Just broad stroke takeaway. Nike sold its Artifact subsidiary, and that completed last month. We don't know how much it sold for. It had other brands and other places that it had done business with, such as Fortnite that I had mentioned. Nike is now taking its full exit from its NFC-centric business that had stretched back to 2021. You can go through the timelines as I already did. They had announced that they would halt production before the sale, so I don't know who would buy it. Again, we don't know who it is. I'm pretty sure it's not VeVe. Why I think it's not VeVe is because they could just take whatever that they wanted from any other company, and they could just basically do what Nike did. I don't see really that much value in it. Again, they haven't told us who bought it yet. I have no idea. It might be a good person to ask might be Jumpstart Janie, because she's very good at what she does, and Web3 fashion is her domain. So why did Nike sell? Here's one of the first things that I took a look at, maybe after a couple of drinks. There's been a strategic shift under the new leadership. Again, they have a new CEO. It's Elliott Hill. He's refocusing now on company core athletic products, traditional wholesale partnerships, basically moving away from any type of Web3, NFT, or crypto ventures. I don't know how much of crypto that they still hold. I don't think it's any meaningful amount, but you have to understand why. And at the end of the day, corporations are just people. And you have to recognize that even the most powerful corporations are still made up of people. And what do people do? A lot of times they do the wrong thing. I don't mean morally. Whatever happened, like the same thing happened with candy, and we'll go over that later too. Where why would you throw good money over bad? And I'm not saying that this is bad money, but in a weakening NFT market, instead of trying to stick it out, because again, like that, this is going to turn around at some point, they decided to sell at the bottom of the market, and with good reason. I just had a call with a buddy of mine. He's just like, hey, you know what? I love you, Randy, but OMI's been going down for this amount of time. It's like, okay, fair point. And he just didn't understand cycles, which is fine. But obviously, as we all know, anyone that's even grazed NFTs, the broader NFT and digital collectibles market just fell off a cliff. That's not due because of any one thing that any one company did. That's due because, again, you have lots of liquidity locked up, over 20 trillion in money market accounts. Rates haven't been cut at a significant rate yet, and the Clarity Act hasn't been passed. So of course, like, demand for artifacts, NFTs are going to be at an all-time low. I don't know anyone. Maybe my cousin Steph might have bought artifact because she's a sneakerhead, but that's it. Then again, legal pressure. I don't know how big this class action lawsuit was by any of these investors, but typically, like why do countries not like to default on their debts? Because then they risk war with the holders of those debts. I could picture that some of these investors, many of them probably multi or deca millionaires, go in and be like, okay, not on my watch. And again, they had a very, very bad PR campaign or a PR shitstorm when they said, oh yeah, you're a rug pull. Even though I don't think that was the case, I think they just tried and failed. But again, people are going to call it how they see it, even if how they see it is wrong. And again, Nike just moved to dismiss the lawsuit. Don't know how that's going yet. But then there's a bunch of market and community reactions. Nike shares did tick up modestly after reports of the sale. I think that's because a lot of investors finally, like, again, they're not into Web3 yet. Not everyone is. I went over this with Dan Williams yesterday, CEO of Figpin. More on him in a minute. And again, some artifact collections, especially Clone X, saw prices rebound on secondary markets following the sale as well. So when you don't talk about something for a long time and then suddenly it's in the news, suddenly it breathes a little bit of life into you. Suddenly you hear a little bit of a subtle heartbeat. But again, that would only happen on a sale, which is what it did. So after they closed that part down, I don't think they're looking to get into any other NFT-driven type of fashion anytime soon. They could surprise us and say yes, but I just don't think that's the case. Now, where does VeVe fit into all of this? And again, thank you, VeVe, for reposting this. Have a great stream. Of course, VeVe, of course. And yeah, maybe it's Almanac, and we'll get to the comments in a bit. But VeVe, I think, has a very rare opening here, because Nike selling artifact publicly validates a few things that I think VeVe's quietly been positioning throughout the years: brand safety, licensing discipline, and then also non-speculative collectibles. Anything like again, Nike's a cool brand, but the stuff that they were putting out wasn't actually on brand for them. Excuse the pun. So I think there's a couple of ways VeVe can capitalize on this without even being involved in their sale, which again, I don't think that they were, but who knows? They could become the anti-artifact, where it's like, hey, this just failed. This is really bad. We're the complete antithesis of that. Artifact, the collapse reinforced fear, because again, like if they were, let's say for raising a kid or a dog, you want to reinforce good behavior, not reinforce bad. The failure and sale of artifact reinforces the market fear around experimental tech-first NFTs, unclear utility promises, and platforms that disappear. Now, again, the platforms that disappear, you could go with Recur, you could go with, well, I think Cryptoys got bought up, but you can go to any one of those other failed products and be like, hey, this is just like the rest of them. What do they all have in common? They just didn't care about the collection. So what VeVe can do is they can make their messaging angle to investors or other brands like, hey, We have licensed long-term brand partnerships. This isn't just something that was cooked up at the hype. We were building it before the hype even there. We are the hype. And then I was talking with a buddy of mine not too long ago about CSGO and Fortnite, just about skins. And people don't care whether they actually own them or not. They care that if they're cool. So a lot of these other companies are like, yeah, talking about this blockchain and that blockchain and their team. And it's just like, if the product is cool, they'll like it. If you build it, they will come. And what VeVe is, and what always has been, is collectibles first and blockchain second. Now that we're getting into the collect chain, this could be a whole other thing, a whole other positive for them. But they've also been building for the long term. And they've been building, well, they've been building for like half a decade plus, but they're building for the decades, not necessarily for a hype cycle. Like this is their second bear market that they've been in, and they're doing quite well with it. Now, Nike exiting Web3 gives VeVe a chance to frame itself as just the safe harbor for major IPs that don't want any of this crypto drama, which again, there are a bunch of those licenses out there that just aren't ready yet. I think this is huge for companies that are already with us, like Disney, Marvel, DC, Universal. Obviously, we all hope we get Pokemon. But to proactively court X artifact brand interest, Nike didn't sell artifact because digital goods failed. They sold it because they failed. The market matured, and they did not either allocate resources well enough. They chose to not see the forest where the trees are in the way. And their experiment became a reputational risk that other brands just didn't want to be associated with. So I think that VeVe can quietly or proudly pitch that digital collectibles without open market speculation. There are people that don't necessarily need to be obsessed with the floor price, although people are, but there's more than that with VeVe. You just get a ton of history with it. And then just the no rug pull optics, because again, you could have any company that fails, like let's say like CNN, straight up rug pulled. Artifact, just misappropriation of funds. Same thing with a bunch of these other companies out there. It's not that they had rugged, although I'm sure, again, stuff like CNN happens. But it's just the fact that their resource allocation was not good. Their team wasn't good. They didn't have a successful past, or even if they did, they had a successful past in one thing, and it wasn't collecting. So VeVe has two options here. They can originally pitch that walled garden approach, where they say, hey, for companies that are kind of anti-Web3, they can go in and say, you don't have to go outside of our walled garden. We're here for you. We can fix anything here. It's not going to get lost. It's not going to get hacked. But then for the companies that are a little bit more experimental and are a little bit more, risk on, they could say like, hey, here's the collect chain. It can go wherever, and you're guaranteed your royalty. Which I think both of them can be very attractive to the Web3 purists and the conservative brands alike. The Web3 purists, where you have that collect chain, you have that interoperability, and the conservative brands where you can pitch that walled garden aspect, where it doesn't have to leave. You don't have to do any of that. Although I think eventually, once they see Marvel and Disney and all that going interoperable, I think everyone will want to follow suit. Again, Artifact, I believe, is proof that utility NFTs, not gonna lie, they're kind of overrated. And I know like people are gonna get the pitchforks out, but they sold wearables, metaverse promises, and digital sneakers with future functionality. VeVe sells collectibles, and again, that's what they've always marketed themselves at. You have things that are scarce, you have things that are rare, and then you just have the fandom ownership as well. Other stuff is cool and utilities, but I've seen so many projects come in and talk about their utility, which again, cool, you want at least a little bit of it, but you could have something that has like the greatest utility in the world. If it's not from a brand that people know and trust, and it's not coming out with new content, it's not going to matter. Again, you have to have that cool aspect to it. What I find really cool is, I forget the name of some of these people. I'll just use Dr. Stuff as an example. Dr. Stuff's kids like the Iron Man one, like the Iron Man one where he does like not his proton cannon, but he does his beams, right? He goes out and he does attacks and they pretend to fall from the attacks. Like, that's fun. Anyway, I think Nike walking away really strengthens VeVe's thesis that people just don't want digital shoes that they can use. They want collectibles that are tied to culture, and they want collectibles that are scarce from these 100-plus-year-old companies. Because again, they've already stood the test of time. Now, don't get me wrong, stuff like Bored Apes, stuff like CryptoPunks, I think they're going to be around for a while. Will they be around in 50 years? I hope so, because that's part of history, that's part of culture. I hope they are. But it's very hard to do that. And if I had to bet, like place $50,000 on what is more likely to be around in 50 years, whether it's Bored Apes or Coca-Cola, I'd probably bet Coca-Cola. Now, the Coca-Cola NFTs that we have, some of them are worth a good amount, especially the one-of-ones, but the other ones are a couple dollars. But again, like, there's millions of those people that collect them, that like them on Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever you want. And again, I'm not going to fade these 100-plus-year-old companies just because for a time you weren't able to put them in your MetaMask wallet. That I think VeVe should really double down on the fact that they have all of these first appearances, historically framed drops, again, one-of-ones that are huge on David's website, and museum-style art. We've had that with Rewind Collective. They just actually posted the other day referencing their Pride NFTs, and then just the narrative around what they're doing. That narrative will come back. Is it going to come back next week? Probably not. Will it come back before the end of the year? I think so. What also I think they could do is accelerate outreach to legacy brands that have previously not wanted to go into Web3. Again, talked about it with Dan Williams yesterday. We can get Sonic on VeVe, not because we struck a deal with Sega, but because we can retroactively go in and say, oh, this Sonic Fig pin has a serial number, and we could put that's what Dan had mentioned yesterday, in case you missed it. I only put like 4 shorts up. I just didn't have, I was so busy today. I probably have another 8 shorts that I can put up from that one, and then not including this one tonight. But Nike's exit is likely to scare apparel brands. They're likely to scare anyone that's in digital fashion, any type of entertainment company, or any type of sports league. Because you could also point to the fact that Candy, which has all of these one-of-one Otanis and all of these, like, they're another platform that failed. And more on Candy later. I promise we'll get to that. But VeVe's got all of these brands, and they all still trade, and they all still sell. There's a market out there for every single one of them. I know I kind of crap on the Cryptoys all the time because I have 2 sets, and I feel like I can. It's just that, again, give me $1,000, or let's say give me like $1,500, I'd probably buy 10 Superman as opposed to buying 9 Superman and then like a full set of Cryptoys. I just that's what I would do. But again, there are a bunch of these other companies that are spooked by this, and VeVe, being the antithesis of that, should be able to give them the warm and fuzzies, or as Mom Steve would say, the goosies. I think VeVe should pitch itself as a licensing company that happens to use blockchain. Everyone in 2018 to 2020, all these Wall Street analysts were just like, yeah, well, Tesla, they make cars, including Jim Chanos. That dude got like one thing correct in like 20 years. He's like, well, it's a company and it makes cars, therefore it's a car company. When it clearly wasn't the case, when it was clearly so much more than that. It was a technology and software company that, yes, it happened to make cars. I think VeVe should go in and really get ahead of the narrative and spin it and say, we are a licensing company that happens to use blockchain. They're not a crypto startup begging brands to experiment. They've been here for a while. And if they would let me, I would buy part of the company. I don't know if that would be possible or not. But because I know David, he's probably already in talks with anyone that I could think of right now. He's probably already knocked on their door. I know other companies have knocked on his door. Oh, what is this, Mr. KFC? Oh, was that you knocking on VeVe's door years ago and not the other way around? Maybe it happened like that. Anyway, I think this is a once per cycle credibility moment. Although I could have said this when Candy failed or any other thing failed. This could happen more than once before the next run up. But then again, contrast the legal exposure. VeVe already had their stuff that they dealt with, and it's over now. Like about a year ago, it ended. Artifact's class action lawsuit is very radioactive, so much that nobody wants to touch it. I think VeVe should emphasize consumer ownership clarity, emphasize the ongoing platform support, including the fact of what they're doing with Collect right now, which is absolutely bananas. No other one in the space has that. And emphasize the continuity guarantees. And also what they've been able to do without any reins with the freedom of their IP, the VeVe gold logo in particular. Why is that worth 4 times as much as a partner statue? The partner statue is, I think, arguably one of the most important pieces, one of the most important NFTs in the realm, in all of NFTs, because that's a double first appearance of Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney. That should be worth tens of thousands of dollars, but it's not. You can get it for less than $1,300 on Stacker right now. And the VeVe Gold logo is worth about maybe not 4 times that anymore. Let's say like 3.5 times that. Why? Because people trust what David and Dan do. They trust what they've been doing with utility. They trust that they're going to get something every year. Why do people continuously buy iPhones every year? Is the new iPhone that much better than the previous one? Does it have that much faster processor? Does it have that much a better camera? No, but it's these tiny improvements that go in, and they know they're going to get something that's going to be a tiny improvement, and it's guaranteed every year. We know as VeVe Gold logo holders, we're going to get a party thrown by Mr. MC1, and we're going to get some type of redemption. This year, we literally got freaking like gold and silver, which is wild. So again, I think they could really place themselves to other brands as like the savior of NFTs. Even subtle language like, permanent marketplace support, including Collect, long-term custodianship, just for us, if you want that walled garden, or if you want it in your MetaMask, in your wherever, you can do that as well. And no sudden risk of shutdown. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if there was anything that VeVe ever needed as far as monetarily wise, like, I mean, not crazy amounts, but I could get them. Like, if it was ever needed, I could get them. And you might be thinking, Chavez, how much money could you ask? I just raised a bunch of money for another company, about to raise a bunch of money for another company in the next couple of weeks here. I'm very confident in my abilities. And that's what all these other companies don't have as well. They all have one other thing working against them, is that they don't have me. And I know, patting myself on the back a little bit, but yeah. Like Mary's talking to Gandalf saying like, oh, we have something that they don't. The white wizard. I'd be known as the brown wizard, but you get what I mean. Anyway, I think they can expand the phygital hybrids as well. I have been talking about this forever. Yes, I did quote Sandlot just now, forever. I think VeVe can capitalize by linking collectibles to physical counterparts. The phygitals, every time we've done one, they've sold out. DeCat's following suit with what VeVe's doing. They're going to have a digital comic on VeVe, and DeCat's going to have a physical comic that's going to be outside of VeVe. Maybe I'll work something out with David and Dan where they can pay to get it printed and they get most of the profits. I don't know. I don't know yet. But aside from that, yes, we're going to have a digital collectible on VeVe as well. And we're going to have a physical collectible. And it's probably going to be on FigPin. In fact, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be on FigPin. The digital collectible of any of the DeCat characters will be on VeVe. The physical will probably be FigPin. It will be FigPin. So again, you have other companies, other up-and-coming companies that are taking the blueprint of what VeVe has done, and they're trying to follow it. DeCat's just the latest one. Who's the next one? I don't know. We're going to have to see. But also, outside of what they have already, again, stamps are great. But what about tickets, certificates, plaques? We have comic books already, so that's great. But what about manga? Then we have partner statue. We have Superman. We have all that. But I think event access, like the gold logo, that's something that we've only just scratched the surface on. Nike leaving open space for hybrid collectible credibility, where you could have like, oh, you might have this, because again, you should be able to rent on the collect chain. But what if you need both? Again, I think having the physical and the digital can mean something here. And I think that VeVe is much better suited for this than any other Web3 native startup that's out there. Comment down below if you think I'm wrong. Also, investor and community narrative. For VeVe holders and collectors, this is a big moment. VeVe can frame that we survived the purge, the market is maturing, and VeVe has matured right along with it, and speculators left. A lot of the people that are actual collectors have stayed. Some of them might have stayed as fudders, but for the most part, again, like, you had a bunch of people buying the speculation and hype last time. And that was true across all platforms. But who retained the real collectors? VeVe did. And again, there's Elmon X, there's other people that are on other platforms that are still out there and they're still chugging along, but VeVe's the biggest one right now. So I think, again, Artifact's exit helps VeVe frame patience as a big virtue rather than just stagnation like other companies are doing. So there is, for the big picture takeaway, is just that VeVe is the clear leader. Could there be another startup that you can get in early and maybe buy a token pre-sale, buy shares of the company when they're worth a couple $100,000? Sure. But I don't know why anyone would do that when, and again, nothing's guaranteed, anything can go to zero at any moment, when they could just invest in VeVe or the OMI token. And again, the OMI token's just been punished, and VeVe's doing great. VeVe's crushing it. But the token does not match that price at all. And I think eventually it will. And I think eventually it'll outpace the company because people, they can't buy shares of the company, but they can buy the token. So if you have no option to buy shares of the company, that's the next best thing. You can buy the collectibles, the ones that mean a lot, and then you could buy the token. So again, VeVe didn't win by being flashy. A lot of people, including me at times, would be like, dude, can we do some marketing? Can we like spend a little money? But VeVe basically won the war of attrition by not blowing themselves up. Everyone else, as soon as they got money, gotta spend it. And they spent it too early. They expected the market to move, and it didn't happen. VeVe is really one of the last ones standing. And it's not because they, outmarketed, although they did. It's because they took what money they had and they were very frugal with it. Some would say cheap, and maybe at sometimes you were right, but for the most part, it's because they took capital allocation seriously. I've been going on for 30 minutes here. Let me get to some of the comments because I know there's a good amount. Planet Vampire, give me the party face. Kuma saying, what up, fam? How's it going? Omar loves Omi saying, good evening. And thank you, VeVe, for reposting. Shout out to 263 people that are here. What we're going to do right now is we're going to go to YouTube, and we are going to ask everybody to smash that like button. Please smash comments down below. Good for the YouTube algorithm. I dislike how, oh, shoot. We just got something from, all right, Manu, I see you, Definity. We got a good amount. We got a good amount here. A decent amount. Definitely not. Okay, I'm fine. Anyway, we'll go over Definity in a minute. I just want to get over some of the comments. Devil Cows, hey, I have brain access for channel member. When can we chat? Shoot me. Do you have Telegram or X? Shoot me a message. Shoot me a message on X, and then we will get that bread. Mike Jones saying Devi is going to 8 cents before the big run up, Randy. I'm the master of price predictions. It might. So, all right, let's finish with. We have so many. We have so many of these. We have so many things. We'll start off with OMI, and then we'll get to other stuff here. But let's start with OMI. All right. Today, I think it did that well. Down about 4% to 000118. It's actually not horrible because the other day we were down. The other day we wicked down to 0016. So that was not great. Do we go back down there? Maybe. Was talking to a guy today about about a couple of things, like DEVVE as well, but about OMI. Would love to get him some. The problem is there's not a and we can go on Kraken now, but there is less than $300,000 of liquidity on the base there. So we would have to do maybe 30 to 50K on base. Maybe we can do an OTC deal with a big whale for another 50K. But the dude wants hundreds of thousands of dollars of OMI, which is fine. I have no problem getting him that, but would like a little more liquidity here on the Uniswap 1 inch. I think over on Sacker you can do both Uniswap and 1 inch, and go either or. But the volume today I also think wasn't that great. And the person knows. I was like, hey, let's be advised, you're gonna have to hold this for a while. And we're at 1.1 million in volume, which I think Deepcoin took 400K of that. So let's say like 700K in volume. So not a great day for volume. But he knows that a bunch of these. How much can he get for? Let's just say we do 250, and let's just 2. So the guy can get about 1.125 billion OMI for about 250 if we average it to 0002. Because yeah, we could buy down here at 0018, and it might go lower. That'd be great for us. But at some point, we're going to be buying so much that it's going to be going up a bit past that. But I think we can get it for around 0002 after we do a bunch of this. So again, this is going to happen hopefully end of the month. And again, we're hoping that it goes down because again, we want to buy more at that price as more money comes in. But it's I'd already told him, like, you could be holding this for several months, if not over a year, and he's fine with that. He comes from TradFi, so he's just like, bro, I don't like that's short. It's like he doesn't. I told him like, okay, when we take some profit, is like, you know, I heard you say it could go to like $1 or 2035. Like, yeah, sure. Why not wait till then? Like, well, you probably want to take a little bit of profit this time before the next cycle. Again, we'll talk. He's a buddy. Oh God, thank you, Miss Gecko, for going over and reposting me. I'm going to give you some likes here. I guess we can get to DEVVE now. Mike Jones, we have a little bit of stuff going on. Give me 1 second. Thank you all for coming here. DEVVE, they also had a very rough day. DEVVE was down at one point, I think, to like 15 cents. So they're down 10% now at 17.2 cents. But earlier today, they were down to like a couple of times under 15.5. So that is a big dip from where we were yesterday. It's like, okay, well, why? Why did that happen? Let's go to the tape here. Let's go to so much of this. You have Tom coming in from DEVVE today saying, hey, I just wanted to give you all a bit of an update on status from my perspective. I just wrote a similar response to someone who has been a long-term supporter and admitted they felt worried about DEVVE right now. So I thought I would reflect some of what I told them here. The DevStream purchase not going through was admittedly a bit rough. DevStream is listed on the NASDAQ, but I think they just didn't have enough money to fulfill their obligation about buying some dev tokens that would have helped them do things a little bit quicker. Anyway, he goes and says the DevStream purchase was not going through was admittedly a bit rough, and money that we were counting on coming in that didn't come in has admittedly slowed things down a bit. Similarly, one of the challenges with a product like DevExchange is that it's very partner intensive. Ray is good at building relationships with partners, more so than me, so that's a good match with him. Many of these potential partners are large companies, and large companies are notorious for slow business cycles. It's the nature of the path with DevExchange. If you want to build a crypto exchange for enterprise and TradFi, which hasn't been done before, some of the things we've been pushing forward on, I've been straightforward from the beginning, are innately high risk, always the case with early stage companies, but they're still in the works, and I'm optimistic Ray will find the right path to growth. That said, Fias opens up an entirely new playing field for both the Fias token and the DevX and DEVVE. Given Fias I'm as optimistic as I've ever been about DEVVE itself, in addition to FIAS itself. That's because I see a path to success in my directional efforts, where partners are not gating, and if FIAS succeeds, DEVVE will as well, because FIAS is going to be built utilizing DevX. With FIAS, I'm going to give regular updates. I'm planning a play-by-play for growth, of growing the business where everyone can follow along and hopefully get some inspiration for their own business. It's going very quickly, faster than anything I've worked on in the past. FIAS represents an entirely new way to grow a software business, where I'm convinced that AI is the only way to grow a software business moving forward, and Devio is a software business. I'm posting this here in the DEVVE group to make a point that FIAS's growth is equally important to me for both tokens, DEVVE and FIAS. FIAS has enormous potential, and it is not a pivot. It's where I've been heading my whole career, and I feel like it represents a way forward for everything, even on other paths, which, again, to be clear, are still in play. Don't move forward in the original timeframes expected. Basically, a lot of people took his confidence and they said, so you're saying that you're not working on DEVVE and you're only going to work on FIAS and we should invest in this new token. That's not what he said at all. But I don't know if I can go back to what I wrote because it was down there a bit. Shit, I'm not going to be able to. Maybe I can. Okay, yeah. I said, for anyone else worried about what's to come, let me give you an inside look at what the wealthy are doing. A buddy of mine put in about $250,000 into DEVVE over the last few weeks. Most people would have called me and complained this morning based on what was going on. He didn't. He called and said that he was thinking about adding more. No one knows what happens in the short term, but the wealthy don't care as long as the thesis and fundamentals of the company stay the same. Part of the reason the wealthy got wealthy is because of the fact that they don't have knee-jerk reactions and panic sell when something temporary happens. People can listen to and follow whoever they want, but I tend to go with the decisions of those who are already wealthy. And if I do what they do, one day I'll have what they have. A lot of people didn't like that answer because it held a mirror up to their face showing like, okay, is this what you did? And are you, where do you fall in the wealthy versus not wealthy access? And then they didn't like that at all. Anyway, so that's a little bit, there's a lot more on DEVVE that I can go over, but that's just the gist of it right now. All of these companies, DEVVE, Dfinity, OMI, DECAT, just, at the mercy of the crypto narrative, which unfortunately right now, there's a lot of fear in the market. Now that's great for people that are buying. I get a little, the girlfriend situation is very expensive, but aside from that, I still should be able to get a little bit of funds here in the next month or so that I can put a little bit more towards crypto. So for Dfinity, let's go Dfinity because they're just absolutely crushing it. Guys, they made millions of dollars of top line revenue in 2025. I repeat, they made millions of dollars in top line revenue in 2025. What the heck? I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Yep. Position. Oh, very good. Oh, gosh. Anyway, Dfinity, like I said, they made millions of dollars, and they're probably going to make millions of dollars again this year. If any, like they doubled revenue from 2024 to 2025. I bet you they do it again. It seems that might be a little slow start for January, but it's already looking pretty good. Anywho, let me see. What are the margins? Oh, okay. Margins, not bad. They had $2,700 of volume today, so not a ton, but $2.7 million market cap. With owning part of the DMA Link company, I'll tell you that there are multiple offers that they've been getting for their business. I will be very, very happy at some point this year. I'm already happy. But I'll be even more happy. I'll be happier. And then it depending on what happens, I might buy a heck ton more of the Dfinity token, or I might or I might retire early. I don't know. Again, anyway, there's a lot to be said for them. I feel like I've said most of it all the time. What I don't like is the liquidity here, $45,000 each between Definity and ETH, so 90,000 total. It's very hard to put $100-something in this. Now you can go to MEXC, you can go to PancakeSwap, and there's a little bit more liquidity there. But as of right now, this is kind of the only place to get it, which is rough if you're looking to sell. But if you're looking to buy, this could get squeezed really quickly and can go from 2.7 million to 100 million, again, fairly quickly, like a 33, 35x. And again, it's 1.7 cents. I think this goes to multiple dollars at some point. But that's just me. VeVe saying, have a great stream, Randy. Thank you. Omar, yeah, maybe Elmon X. I'm very curious who bought Artifact. Mr. MC1, we were talking before. Love it. Dogboy saying, hey, Randy. Hi, fam. Hi, Dashy. Thank you all for being here for the first 27 minutes where I kind of just did my blurb. It took me a couple days to write. Omar saying, Jacob from Elmon X did hint that they have IP as well, but didn't tell us what brands yet. I'd really love to see Nike shoes with Miles Morales hoodie or collectible. That'd be dope, too. That'd be dope. Puppy Kicks 25.99 says, wasn't here for a few months, maybe years. Oh, damn. Well, you know what? Howdy doody. Hope you're doing well. We got John X saying the cat is going to blast to 100. It's $100 million market cap. It's like a 99x from here, maybe like a 98x from here. You know, that's a lot, but heck, I'll take it. That'd be fun. Again, first goal would be 10 million, which I think I can not easily do. It'll take work, but I think I can do that. Part of the reason I think I can do that is because I'm building the brand, and we raised a small amount at 150K valuation. And again, this is just for the IP, not including the token is already $1.1 million. But for me, focusing on it, like, what do you think the token does when the brand starts to raise money at 300K and 500K and then a million? Like, so the goal of mine is get to the brand super high, get that valuation high up, do a lot of sales, get a lot of the top line revenue, and then the token will follow. Now, it's very possible that the token goes crazy from meme season, whenever that is. But if it does that, great. Well, that'll go on and that'll help the brand. That'll help the valuation there. But I think people really want to see more value out of it first. And the comic is a great way to do that. Also, protein rocks. Let's just go over DeCat real quick. I don't think there's much to write home about today. DeCat, $16 in volume. $319,000 in liquidity, though. $1.1 million valuation. Poppy says, my Counter-Strike inventory is about 40K. Damn! My biggest fear is that Valve shuts down my account tomorrow. I don't own those skins assets on my Steam account. 40K is pretty much for me. Only 20. Damn. Yeah, I at 22, I would have sold a lot of that. Because, again, that's a decent amount of money for a 22-year-old, I think. I had no money at 22. I was in the military and broke his fudge. Broke his fudge, boy. President Trump calls for 10% cap on credit card interest rates. Huh. That'd be dope. That'd be dope. I would love that. Media, let's do that. Thank you, VeVe, for reposting. Y'all are my bays. Shout out to everyone there. Let's move on. Miles Veins, reposted the stream. Thank you, thank you. Check out my post about Futureverse. Okay. All right, Mr. MC1, I see you. I gotta find it over here. Futureverse, Readyverse, Root Network. A perspective, not opinion, could be wrong, and asking team for answers. Futureverse, what bankruptcy means here. The corporate entity, Futureverse, enters administration or liquidation. Equity holders are effectively wiped out. IP token subsidiaries and infra-rare evaluated asset by asset. What does not automatically die? the open source code, public blockchains, decentralized protocols, and third-party apps built on the stack. Most likely result, Futureverse as a brand and operating company winds down, but its technology stack is carved up or spun out. Readyverse. Why Readyverse matters. Built for immersive commerce, not speculative gaming. This is written by ChatGPT. Clear use case, 3D shopping, brand engagement, and virtual retail. Potentially revenue generating versus R&D heavy metaverse bets. Likely pass forward, spin out or management buyout, sale to a retail, e-commerce, or spatial computing player, rebrand to distance from Futureverse, bankruptcy. Yep. Net assessment, Readyverse is the most commercially viable asset and has the highest probability of surviving as an independent company. Okay. Root network. Key distinction. Root network is a layer 1 blockchain, operates via validators, nodes, and token economics. Not legally the same as Futureverse operating entity. What happens post-bankruptcy is the chain does not shut down automatically. Validators can continue block production. Governance may decentralize further. Main risks is loss of core developers, marketing, ecosystem grants, token value, pressure due to uncertainty, reduced demand, and forced selling by creditors. Comparable precedents, chain surviving parent collapse, EOS to the EOS Network Foundation, Steam over to Hive Fork, and Terra Classic with massive reputational damage. Net assessment, root network likely continues running, but becomes a low velocity infrastructure, only chain unless a new steward emerges. What this means for the ecosystem, developers expect maintenance only mode unless a new foundation forms, potential forks or migrations to other L1s. Users, apps may remain live, but no new feature velocity. Wallets and NFTs typically remain accessible. Token holders, equity is 0. Tokens, highly volatile and long-term dilution risk. Value depends on whether new leadership or acquisition appears. Then you have a strategic summary. This is not a Web3 winter causality. It's definitely written by ChatGPT. It's overspending coupled with demand mismatched causality. The market moved to AI, infrastructure, payments, data, real revenue, and left speculative metaverse platforms behind. It's a travesty to see this company go to bankruptcy so fast with so much damage to many. He does Futureverse, Readyverse, Root Network, Candy Digital, and DC Official. He's excluded Candy Digital from above, as I believe that is an answer status at DC Official and Jim Lee, and team should give us without delay. Preach, girl, preach. I would not touch any of these companies with a 10-foot pole. Like I said in the first 27 minutes here, VeVe is number 1. All of these other companies, some of which that Mr. MC1 mentioned, some that he hasn't, they're like the Xbox 360, where you could do nothing wrong to it and it'll get you the red rings of death within 3 months. But VeVe is the Nintendo 64 that your mom could throw down the stairs and still work decades later. Just like what's his name said in Angels of the Outfield, I don't want to play with anyone but George Knox. I don't want to invest in any NFT company unless it's VeVe. The OMI token, because we can't buy any VeVe shares. John X says, can't wait to get some DeCat. Get that bread. I love this game. Ironman 616 says, hey fam, good evening. I love that meme where it's just like, hey, and the person says like, you can't just give finger guns as a response to everything. Like, that's where you're wrong, buddy. VeVe is number 1. VeVe's number 1. Stoop, kids afraid to leave the stoop. 100%, Mr. MC1, 100%. Now, let's rock and roll. Let's rock and roll. Okay, Nike. Oh, hell, I have appreciated. Meow, meow, meow. And terms, I think. Oh, God, that's a lot. Okay. Sorry, I need to read this real quick. And launch. Okay. And have the, okay, ready. Smaller amounts. Okay. Despite the, I've never been, okay. Very good. Very good. I don't feel, okay. Can't describe. This is so, oh. Okay. Oh, my. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. This is, oh my God. The Holy Grail, baby. Logically, yep. Can I copy this? Copy this. Jesus. 15 billion is a lot. I live to serve. Just remember me when oh God, what's a good thing to ask for here? Just remember me when normally you can get like 3 to 5% for helping to raise funds. I don't know what to ask for here though. Need some help. Make sure. It was, I don't want to say hard. It was there are some companies that don't like to do business with American companies for some reason. So you have to reroute money through other companies in other countries. And then it's a pain in the patoot. I says, Randy, give me a small recap of what happens in the last 2 years. Honestly, the first 27 minutes really helps. The first, like all the other companies crashed. VeVe, usership go down, but because that they're exceedingly good at making drops that people care about, they continue making money and eventually they'll go up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Get the funds because of rerouting money to the UK during a holiday, but this time it should be much easier since you're able to accept the Americans. Not sure how much I can raise. At least another 100K. This time, what's it called when you raising? I can get a fundraising commission. You'd be more comfortable with. Unless to buy. I'm going to pitch the cat here. A portion of my cat IP be on VeVe in a couple months, and I'm about to make a deal with Figpin as well. Get your on these platforms also. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. JKRB, thank you. Yep, no problem. No problem. Okay. Also free for a call whenever you want, babe. I just called my friend Babe. He is not a babe. I don't know. You ever like, no, I'm not even gonna. Okay. Let's see what we got here. We did the cat, we did OMI, we did Devi, did Definity. Okay, good. Let's get to some of the news because it's been a couple of heavy news days here. Okay, there's Artifact. Do y'all remember some girl, Brittany? She's like big on TikTok now. She posts a lot of Taylor Swift stuff, and we always call each other for our birthdays. Our birthdays are like 10 days apart. Hers is the 5th, mine's the 15th. And yeah, catching up with her is really fun. She's doing well. She says to say hi to everybody. Stranger Things. Morgan Stanley files for spot Ethereum ETF. Riot sells $162 million in Bitcoin as mining hash price slumps back towards lows. Rumble and Tether launch crypto wallet for creator economy. The cryptocurrency industry witnessed over $3.4 billion in theft from January through early December 2025, with the February compromise of Bybit alone accounting for $1.5 billion of that. Personal wallet compromises have grown substantially, increasing from just 7.3% of stolen value in 2022 to 44% in 2024. Jesus. In 2025, the share would have been 37% if it weren't for the outsized impact of the Bybit attack. My God. Polymarket to distribute prediction data to Dow Jones outlets. Okay, I'll take that. CNBC says Morgan Stanley is the first major U.S. bank to file for a Bitcoin ETF. That is a huge endorsement. Crypto prediction platform Polymarket announces exclusive partnership with the Dow Jones and Wall Street Journal. Senator Lummis says that Congress is close to passing crypto market structure legislation. Preach, girl, preach. President Trump is going to ban large institutional investors from buying single-family homes. He says for a very long time, buying and owning a home was considered the pinnacle of the American dream. It was the reward for working hard and doing the right thing. But now, because of record high inflation caused by Joe Biden and Democrats in Congress, that American dream is increasingly out of reach for far too many people, especially younger Americans. It is for that reason and much more that I'm immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes. I'll be calling on Congress to codify it. People live in homes, not corporations. I will discuss this topic, including further housing and affordability proposals, and more at my speech in Davos in 2 weeks. I don't think he had to throw Democrats under the bus for that, but you know what? Preach. Yeah, corporations should not be buying those homes. Barron bought 100K worth of Bitcoin. My man, get that bread. Should be buying 100K of DEVVE and Affinity and OMI. Oh my gosh. Oh man, my guy is not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's selling at these prices. Okay, anyway. $7,500. The Leonardo first appearance common, mint number 1974, sold on Soccer World for 38 million OMI, which is $7,500 at the time of sale. While 1984 is the birth year of TMNT with the release of their first appearance comic, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, current floor on the collectible is around $10, making this a 750x floor sale. That is bananas. Again, 38 million OMI for the 1984. I'm not even going to read that. Why that happens. We have someone named Dylam Sanjaya, which has 9,000 followers on X, saying, vibe coded a game character selection screen. Everything here was made with AI tools. Nano Banana character design plus UI. Tencent Huanyan 3D, image to 3D Gemini Pro UI. That's a lot of words to, yeah, it looks cool. And yeah, it's pretty dope. But who is that? I don't know, but Dr. Collect, formerly known as Dr. Profit, tags Collect Chain, VeVe Official, and Stacker, thinking that maybe that's something that they should do with AI. I think they should. EV Zombie, thank you for being a member. Jason Pena, thank you for being a member. Devo Kyle, thank you for being a member. Oh, I love this game. Okay. Guru Collectibles says the Upper Deck has announced a new Harry Potter license, which will include trading cards. Harry Potter is easily one of the most sought-after licenses in today's entertainment landscape. The combination of nostalgia, iconic characters, and rich storytelling has sustained its cultural relevance for decades, says Jason Mashera, president of Upper Deck. Initial release will include trading cards celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Sorcerer's Stone. Damn, 25 years. God, we are so old. Damn. Old as fudge, boy. Okay. Trump Stanley crypto firm World Liberty Financial applies for U.S. banking license. Get that bank charter. Yeah, I know. People were big mad about the Duffer Brothers and the Stranger Things thing that was happening. January 7th, 1.8 million OMI was burned on January 7th. Comey, December leaderboard rewards. Season 4 has ended. Mr. Squeebs is number 1. PTAR FX is number 2. And Mr. Rolex is number 3. Give me 1 second here. Making sure tomorrow. Okay, 1 second. Good for my dude's got a lot of DEVVE tokens. But I want to be fucking love my girlfriend so much. She's so fucking cool. Okay, what do we got here? People, JD Vance requotes Donald Trump saying people live in homes, not corporations. Agreed. What was the last thing that he had said there? What? Yeah, okay, that was Watch a Guru. All right, let's get out of there. You're about to, oh my gosh. What do we got here? From DEVVE Trading Group, we have Terry N saying, it's tough to say, probably best to work on numbers against equivalent competitors and adjust accordingly. Uniswap is a $3.6 billion market cap. That would be $30 for DEVVE. It's hard to compare, though, that they have a huge range of tokens, but miss out on volume of the biggest tokens that we may support, like Bitcoin, XRP, etc. Aave is $2.5 billion. That's another $20 per DEVVE token. They'll probably support more tokens, but are excluded from institutional lending, as well as high-end borrowing from those trying to do so against unrealized gains. I think we could be a lot bigger than Aave. How, when, and what ROA will look like is more opaque. We know the potential is massive if it works out. We just don't have enough info to judge this well at all yet. Partner validation alone is worth quite a lot for the token. Long story short, I think short to midterm, $50 to $100 is not unreasonable. The bigger numbers will depend more on time and how things play out in the real world asset space. My name is Randy. Okay, there we go. Tom Anderson talking about Fias saying, this is definitely not slapping AI on something. I think Fias is a platform that can win even over the big AI companies out there. They're building technical infrastructure and I'm building financial infrastructure. I think highly coordinated, smaller models will ultimately be the better solution than monolithic black boxes. For reference, Will Stewart is involved with Fias as well. He has a real expertise and contacts in AI, and he feels the same way. People of his caliber aren't easily impressed by anything in AI, but he also thinks we can win. Also, I got to put something in my notes here real quick because Will Stewart is the man. Oh yeah, tornado, bullish, pose, integration of AI and blockchain. Give me 1 sec. 7, gotta underscore. That's great. Okay, let's move on. Oh my gosh. Okay. Here was me 9 years ago, 10 years ago. I think it was 10 years ago. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a younger version of me, all right. Yep, January 8th, 2016. Damn, it was wild. And I think that's gonna be Mr. MC1. No, this is a long time ago. Never mind. Mr. MC1 back in January 8th of 2025 said, it's fascinating to see Candy Digital. One post is about an incredible drop, 29 likes. And Another post about giveaways is 144 likes and reposts. Says perhaps to do something extra special for 29. The true fans surprise giveaways for real engagement. Hi. For real engagement. Good to know giveaways can amplify traffic by 4 to 5x, and hopefully some convert. Real Randy Chavez, probably worth studying patterns across platforms. He was just talking about Candy. The reason I never really studied the patterns of what Candy was doing is because I didn't have faith in the platform. I was not bullish on it. And now it still probably would have been good to study, like, okay, again, one post is about incredible drop, 29 likes, one's about a giveaway, 144 likes and reposts. But again, and this is something I might have mentioned a year ago, but I hadn't mentioned in a while, is that you can get followers very easily on TikTok. You just be like, hey, I have a bunch of these Pokemon cards. If you like this post and you retweet it and you tag 2 friends down below, you'll be entered in a giveaway. Or if you follow me and you follow this person and you retweet it, you'll be entered in a giveaway and you could win this Pokemon card. You can win this whatever. And yeah, that's an easy way to get followers. That's an easy way to get engagement. But the type of people that tend to go in and do that are the type of people that don't have a ton better to do. Like whenever I go to someone's page and I see that that's all they do is they like and repost and comment like on those types of things, like, okay, like it would be much better value of their time to just work or do it. Now, it's one thing to be like, you know what, I'm going to support a friend and do that. Or it's one thing to be like, you know what, I'm on the toilet, might as well do that anyway. But when your entire page is like that, and again, it's not everyone that does that. But I'd like to build up the amount of followers that, like, yes, I want them to win as much as I do. And I want type of followers that are going to be like, yeah, I'll watch and listen to your stuff if I can, or I'll read your stuff when I can. I don't necessarily want followers that have 8 hours a day. Like, I don't know how some of these people are on X like so many hours a day, like all the time, but they are. And ideally, the amount of followers I would like would be the type that could just look to me whenever. Hi, Ralphie. Ralphie following y'all around. So that's why I didn't follow up with them about Candy, and because Candy didn't have a they didn't have a long term to live. Teach them how to drown. Okay. U.S. initial jobless claims. There were expected 210,000 jobless claims, but there's actually 208,000 jobless claims. Feds Moran says that he's looking at a 1.5% rate cut in 2026. He didn't say when. I think it's down to a 2% chance that we get them in January. We probably get them later though. Anyway, guys, that'll be it for me today. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you to the 371 people that are here. And we're going to say bye-bye to Dashy in a minute. I'm just going to go and say, I don't know why this has a, let me go to the Snapchat. All right, everyone say bye-bye to Dashy. Bye-bye, Dashy. I love you. Randy.